All right, welcome back everyone. So I'm here with Dan. We just met, and I was just telling my wife I've never met an Aussie that I didn't like. they're always nice guys. Whenever someone's doing something crazy on vacation, like jumping in with alligators, like, yeah, of course he's from Australia, right?
There's a first time for everything.
There's a first time for everything. I wanted to share your story with our subscribers. Some people watched your talk last night, so it was really inspirational. But you have taken this Jeep Rubicon. What year is it?
It's a 2011.
A 2011, basically stock, apart from the modifications from the inside, but the running gear, drivetrain, and all of that. And you went, as you right here, 54,000 miles in 35 countries in 1,000 days.
That's right.
What would you have done different?
What would I have done different? Actually, nothing on the Jeep.
You chose the right vehicle. Was that suitable for you?
I think it was fantastic. Yeah, it never broke down once. It took me everywhere I wanted to go. It was perfect.
And you bought it brand new?
No, I bought it used, Cody, because I'm on a budget.
Yeah.
And so it was used. It was $17,000. It was about 4 years old when I bought it. Yeah, it already had 60,000 miles on it.
It ticked all the boxes. It's got the
all
locking differentials, it's got the 4-to-1 crawl, it's ready to go.
Exactly right, and the D44 front diff was what I needed.
Right.
And so I knew I wanted a Rubicon, and it's a 6-speed as well. So I didn't want the auto because it has the 3.8 litre.
Right.
Yeah.
And so these came with the sway bar disconnects and all that. Did you utilize that, or?
I did use that, Cody, and then it got full of mud and it started not working very well. So actually right now it just has no sway bar end links at all. I just completely have it.
It's so funny on these type of adventures, you know, we don't do this type of thing but dirt bikes, but you're thinking in your head when you're putting something together, yeah, this is going to work, this is going to be great. Man, you get down in the thick of it and you start like, this stuff is garbage, you know.
Yeah.
All the things that I thought were going to be perfect, it just didn't work out very good. It usually comes back to keep it simple.
Right, and actually before this adventure I drove from Alaska to Argentina, and I had a stock 2-door TJ, and so it had no modifications of any kind. And so I spent those 2 years thinking about what do I need, what are my essentials. And so when I built this thing, keep it simple was the fundamental.
Yeah.
And so actually all the modifications I made have been brilliant, and I wouldn't change them at all.
Yeah. So you kind of had that Hudson-based start for that first one, kind of see what you liked.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
And then I spent a lot of hours at work sitting at my desk designing and planning and researching how to build this reliable and simple that would work for Africa.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you have support? Because I would imagine visas and going between countries was difficult. You had someone that you could call when you had problems, or were you just completely on your own?
I was completely on my own.
just figuring it out as you went.
Yeah, and I mean, internet access is not difficult, and so I was able to Google things, I was able to chat to other travelers, I was able to talk to embassy staff. So it's not, you're not actually alone, but in terms of, no, there was no support crew. There was no one on the other end of a phone who was solving problems for me.
Yeah, well that makes it really tough.
Well, yeah, it makes it harder.
Yeah. Well, could you give us a tour around the front? We'll start
Absolutely.
with the front.
Yeah, for sure.
Everything looks stock. You've got, who builds the bumper?
That's an AEV bumper.
AEV bumper, and you've got a Warren Winch. It's a good Oregon company there. I used to work there building those.
Nice, and I did that because this winch is recessed into the bumper, so it doesn't scream, look at me, I'm fancy.
Yep.
It's hidden.
A little bit subtle.
Same reason I went with the round spotlights instead of an LED light bar, because light bars look like they're from the future. These round spotlights
Everyone's
in Africa
got those.
are really common, so this vehicle doesn't scream, look at all these fancy things that are bolted onto the vehicle. It looks more stock. And that was intentional.
You put a lock on the hood.
I did put a lock on the hood.
Why is that? To keep your battery safe? Or?
Exactly. Yep. I put a lock on everything on the outside of the vehicle just to stop prying hands.
Yeah, I can imagine. So I would imagine, did you upgrade your dual batteries on this for the winch? And
yes, it does have dual batteries that are isolated. I have an air compressor under the hood as well. And I did add an additional cooling fan.
What electric fan?
Actually a mechanical fan.
Mechanical fan.
Yeah, I don't know if you're interested in seeing it.
I would like
to
see
show
it,
you. So this 3.8 engine, we know it runs really hot.
Sure.
And so when they sold this in the Middle East, they added this as a Mopar part.
Oh, it is a factory part.
Yeah, so it's a mechanical fan and clutch, so that will lock up as the engine gets hotter.
Yep.
And that is a factory part, so it screws right onto the front of the water pump.
I didn't know it was a factory part. So you've got Optima. So your second battery you've got back somewhere else.
It's actually underneath it.
Underneath, they're stacked.
Yeah.
Those Optimas are cool because you can lay them sideways.
Yes.
And they don't vent. You got it on a relay there, and then you've got your compressor, and it's all isolated.
Correct.
Nice.
Yep. Other than that, bone stock.
Yeah, ARB.
Yes.
That's not boat salt.
That's the oil rag.
Yeah, I was expecting more, but that's pretty basic stuff.
But you know, I was telling someone today, they're kind of like, you know, what do you do about spare parts? And part of the thing is, like, this vehicle is so new, I didn't need any spare parts. Like, this is the original radiator hose that has been on this vehicle since it came out of the factory.
Yep.
So you drive a 30-year-old car, you're going to have a rusted radiator. I've never even changed the radiator hoses. I never even changed the serpentine belt. It came out of the factory with that belt on it.
Yeah. Less to worry about.
Yeah, when a vehicle's newer, it's going to have less problems.
Yeah, definitely. And you added a snorkel.
Yes, got the AEV snorkel and K&N air filters so I can wash it out.
So on the clutch fan, I mean, of course, if you're wading in water, you could put this on a bypass switch. How do you deal with that if you do have to get into the deep water?
So actually, I just left it alone, and a couple of times it did spit water out of these vents. You can see it on video where it shoots the water out. I probably should have just unbolted it, but I didn't.
Not a big deal.
Didn't seem to cause any trouble.
What? Pretty
It's
simple.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Made the trip.
So these wheels, obviously you got those locked too. I haven't seen anything like that before. What's the philosophy there?
So these are made by Mopar. They call them their winter wheels, and they're actually steel. They are not aluminum.
Right.
So the great thing about steel wheels is they won't crack.
Tough.
It doesn't matter how hard you beat them up. They will dent, they will deform. You can smash them back into shape with a sledgehammer and you're good to go.
And having that kind of that disc shape there, you're not going to get a bunch of stuff in there as bad as maybe some of the alloys.
Right, and also you can see here the valve stem is completely contained.
Yep, so you don't shear that.
So yeah, you can go over rocks and you're not going to shear off your valve stem. I really like that.
Kind of like a heavy industrial option.
Yeah, and they are heavy. That is the downside of them.
Yep.
But for West Africa, I wanted that indestructible kind of quality.
And you are these
these stock Rubicon?
Those are just their stock sliders.
Yep.
No, and those don't seem to be torn up.
No, the one on the other side's pretty rusty. But
so you put these into use?
Correct. Yes, I use those in the Congo and in Kenya, a couple of places.
I've never used those too much. I imagine you get into soft sand and stuff. You just jam them under there and just drive out.
Exactly. And they're great because you use them like a shovel in the sand. So you dig out a hole under the tire, then you shove them in, and they work really well.
And you've got your high lift.
Yep.
And then this is like an integrated fuel tank. How many gallons is that?
That's a 13-gallon tank.
13 gallon. That's a clever place to put it.
It's perfect. It's simple and it works.
So you've got this pretty maximized here too. You got a shovel. You've got a lot of stuff on there. You got your light. I love the kitchenette. This is bare bones here, right?
That's right. And I like to eat good food, so I want to cook a lot. So I do want to have the right cutlery and the right tools for the job.
It's interesting to see this because this is a lot of thought and evolution goes into this, what you see here. It's easy to take it for granted, but you can't just come up with this without just having hours and hours and hours of finding what works and getting rid of the stuff or adding it, but it's really clever. So you've got corkscrew, that's essential.
That's right.
A couple knives.
That's right.
A couple lighters, scissors. This is pretty primitive here.
Yeah,
just your gas stove.
Yeah, this is the only stove I have, and I'm using it because it burns gasoline, same as the Jeep.
Yep.
So it's easy to get fuel. What people forget is every country in the world has different fittings on propane bottles.
Yes.
So if you use propane for cooking, as soon as you cross an international border, you may as well throw it away.
It's not going to match up.
Yep.
So worst case scenario, you could disconnect the fuel line and turn on the key and pump a little into a can and go.
In fact, I normally, even when I don't need this to be full, I leave a gallon or two in here. And sometimes I siphon it out of here into my fuel bottle that I then fill up the stove
And then fill
with.
it up. Yep. Yeah. And then your fork and table, and it's all integrated.
That's right.
That is clever.
Yep. Again, it's simple and it works.
Simple and it works.
I've used this for 1,000 days, and it's still as good as the day I built it.
So this is the inside. This is really cool. So you've got, looks like a Dometic refrigerator.
Yep.
And that held up over all the abuse.
That has been fantastic.
So you'd recommend them?
Many days it'd be 120 degrees inside the Jeep. That fridge just churned away all the time, never a single problem. The temperature has always been what I set it at 4 years ago.
No problem.
Never even thought about it once.
And have you bolted it down, or is it just kind of pinched in there?
It is bolted down.
It is bolted down.
Yep.
And so where did you sleep?
Right, so the magic of this build is really the Ursa Minor J30, which is the pop-up roof conversion.
Right.
And you're going to have to get in there with the camera to see.
You mind if I crawl in?
Go. Yep.
Oh, look at that. Who could ever stand up inside of a Jeep?
That was the plan of the build from the very beginning. The ability to stand up, to get out of the mosquitoes, to get away from the rain.
Yeah.
And what happens is, these wooden slats, they move into the middle, they concertina out.
Yep.
It's kind of like a yacht idea.
Exactly.
And then I've got all the mattress sections up there.
Okay.
They all stack then on these wooden platforms.
Yep.
And so the whole upper roof is the bed.
And you've got some reading lights up there, and
That's right.
and your pictures of your loved ones.
That's
and,
right. Yeah, some inspiration there. And so the idea, I like to say I've got upstairs and downstairs in my Jeep.
So you'd set this up and sleep here, and this is kind of nice. You could actually sit here and get a little bit of a change of scenery.
I do, and some nights I sit here and read a book or make a sandwich, or, you know, if the weather's horrible, it's nice to be able to get inside.
Yeah, of course.
Yep.
How close? Did you take a camp chair?
I do, yeah. I have a couple of camp chairs.
Okay.
Yep.
And so in here, so you built all these boxes. These are all plywood.
That's right.
Looks like, and this is, you've got just basically your essentials, clothing and gear and supplies in there. And
Exactly right. Food, more cooking stuff. Spare parts and tools are all underneath that false floor.
okay, so keeping the weight
Keep
low.
the weight as low as I could. Yep.
And how about your water? How much did you carry, and how are you keeping that?
Yeah, so I mounted a 14-gallon tank underneath the Jeep. It's between the drive shaft and the exhaust, kind of opposite where the fuel tank is.
Yep.
So 14-gallon tank, and then behind the driver's seat, we've got a filter and a water pump out of an RV.
Okay. Yep.
And so it's a really fine 0.5 micron filter and a UV treatment lamp. And then actually, you might want to get this on film. So what I've got here is just a regular tap as you think of it. And when I turn this switch on, it's going to turn on the pump that's down behind the seat. So it'll pump the water out of the tank through the filter and the UV treatment lamp, and we get running fresh drinking water.
That's nice.
And so 14 gallons of safe to drink water no matter where I am in Africa.
Wow. And the filtration's good enough where you could, even if you find a dodgy source, you're still good.
That was the plan. I never did need to do that, but if I needed to, I would. Yep.
You would. Okay.
Yep.
What a fascinating story Dan has. Just a great guy. I really enjoyed spending time with him. We met Dan at the Leavenworth Overland Expo. I'll continue this video in a second part. It got a little bit long. There was just so much to see and so much to talk about. But I want to, you guys got to go over and subscribe to his channel. I'll put a link down in the bottom. I pulled it up right here on my computer. Just to subscribe, just search theroadchoseme.com. He's got a book out on the whole thing. He's got YouTube videos he's going to be putting up, and I told him, I said, you're such an interesting character, Dan, and you have such a compelling story. You got to do more of this on YouTube. And because I asked him, are you going to do this again? Are you going to do another, amazing adventure like this? And he kind of gave me the impression that he is. So I said, well, give me a call. Let's do a little call. I'll help you kind of set up your YouTube channel and really document this for folks that could follow along, because it was just fascinating. You don't meet true explorers very often anymore, and just have the best time. So go subscribe to his channel, and you could kind of follow along. You can watch his experience out in Africa and see how he modified his Jeep. It was very, very interesting, and he's just a great guy. So don't forget to click the thumbs up. We're still in Leavenworth. We're going to be heading up, show you stuff. I think we're going canoeing today. And I'll get this second part up so you can finish the rest of the tour. But again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next video.